The Vision High School Sports Beat is brought to you by the 11 locally owned Vision Automotive Group dealerships, offering Nissan, Kia, Buick, GMC, Hyundai, Jeep, Dodge, Chrysler, Ram, and the resale division with locations in the greater Rochester area near you. Visit visionauto.com. Hello everyone, and thank you for joining us on the Vision High School Sports Beat. I'm Dave Yates. We are on location this week from Vision Hyundai in Webster. Stop by all throughout October for the lowest prices of the year at 755 Ridge Road in Webster. Well, we begin our look at Section 5 sports in East Rochester, where a former Rhino is coaching a young squad and looking to make the Bombers a contender. And he has a little help from his two sons. Here's Paul Gotham with the Dom family.
Mike Dom's coaching career was following an upward trajectory. The former Brighton Baron and Rochester Rhino star had taken East Rochester to the state championship in 2004. He left the high school sidelines to become an assistant on Gary LaPietra's Brockport Golden Eagle staff and was later promoted to associate head coach. He was a part of Brockport's 2009 team that won the SUNYAC title, but the East Rochester phys ed teacher couldn't ignore his priorities, and that meant a return to the high school ranks and a chance to coach his sons, Chuck and Russ.
It was not really that difficult. I loved coaching at Brockport with Gary and Vince Correa, and we had a great thing going there. We were doing very well every year, but I think about missing my boys' games for the next 5 years was not an option. So when we decided to make the change, I got very excited about it, and we all bought into it.
Chuck and Russ have embraced the chance to be coached by their dad.
So when your dad brought up to you the whole idea of coming here and playing at East Rochester for him, what was your first reaction?
I was nervous but excited to go to a new school and play sports and have fun with my new friends and stuff.
What's it like being coached by your dad day after day?
It's fun, but it's also rough once in a while because he takes it hard on me most, and me and Russell. And he knows a lot about soccer. He's a great player, so I take all the information I can from him, and it's pretty fun. It's good.
And teammates appreciate having the coach's sons play on the team.
He cracks jokes about them once in a while, and it's pretty nice. But he treats them as any other player, and even pushes them even more than, because he expects more. He expects more out of them, and he knows what they're capable of. So it's nothing different. They're just one of us, and he doesn't act different.
The past 2 seasons, East Rochester boys soccer made first-round exits in the sectionals.
First 2 years I knew what I was getting into. The kids were not playing soccer in the off-season. They were basically basketball players. They were baseball players, just spending time playing soccer. So there was no off-season activity. They weren't playing RDYSL. They weren't doing tournaments. The turnaround was when the kids decided to start buying into it, doing summer programs, playing in summer leagues, and showing up for clinics and lifting after school and morning sessions when we're playing. All that stuff is why we're successful right now. It's that work rate that is why we're starting to build something great.
The Bombers' current roster consists of 7 juniors and 10 sophomores. At the same time, ER has won 7 of its first 10 games.
Yeah, the past couple of years we've had lots of freshmen. Even the 8th graders started last year, so a lot of our seniors and juniors and even sophomores had to step up and just be a leader and push the younger guys, and it's helped. And now lots of us are juniors now. We have 1 senior, but a lot of the juniors are taking ownership of what's happening, and just pushing the younger guys, and it's paid off, and we're doing well.
The foundation is we're going to take losses. We're going to do it the right way. We're going to win the right way. We're going to lose the right way. We're going to be on time. We're going to be early to practice. We're going to put the extra work in. We're not going to have any negativity. Everything's going to be positive no matter what. If anybody's negative, we stop and we run and we break that habit. And the first couple of years, we took a lot of losses. And I knew we didn't have the legs, we didn't have the size or the speed to compete, keep up with teams, but we gave every team a fight.
The family feeling extends from coach and sons to the rest of the East Rochester squad.
For the past few years, we've been not so good, and now we've got a stable team, and our sophomores are doing good, and we're starting to learn our positions, and we're starting to click more and play the game that we know we can play.
This is probably the nicest, close-knit team that I've ever been a part of. They're all void of ego, and they all have one goal in mind, is they just want to win and do well together and have a great time together.
From East Rochester, this is Paul Gotham with the Vision High School Sports Beat.
Come on. Hold up shot. Come on. Towards me.
Well, coming up, Paul Gotham returns to join us for the Dunkin Donuts High School Notebook. We've got that and more when the Vision High School Sports Beat continues.
I love you. I can't stop thinking about you. This feels so real.
Sappy for maple? Then you'll love Dunkin's Belgian waffle sandwich and our other mapley and pumpkin-y flavors.
I can't wait to see you.
Excuse me.
I'm getting yelled at.
Hello and welcome back to the Vision High School Sports Beat. I'm Dave Yates. It's time now for the High School Notebook, brought to you by Dunkin Donuts. America runs on Dunkin'. As always, joined by Paul Gotham from PickandSplinters.com. Paul, what's going on the website this week?
Well, plenty of boys soccer and football action. Paul Liotti taking the lead on our football coverage, doing a great job with that. And boys soccer, it's crazy to think we are now going to be in the month of October, where we go from talking about soccer implications and seeding implications to actual seeding matchups, sectional matchups. And if sectionals are anything like the regular season, it's going to be great. In an 8-day period, I saw 4 overtime games in 8 days in soccer. So if the sectionals are anything like it, it's going to be worth watching.
Well, Paul, talking about those sectionals, some classification and reclassification that could make things really interesting.
In boys soccer, a clerical mistake was discovered a week or so ago, which would mean that Class A, which has been Class A1 and A2, is now just going to be Class A because there are only 17 teams. Section 5, if you have 17 teams in a class, only allows for 1 bracket. So now you have 17 teams in Class A, which is going to create an absolute juggernaut of sectionals for that run. Pittsford Sutherland, I talked with Sean Hopkins about it. Pittsford Sutherland started that day when they found out about the change. They started that day the #1 seed in Class A2. They went from the #1 seed in A2 to the number 8 seed in Class A. So think about this. You have the Pittsford Sutherland Knights who advanced, who won A2 last year, went to the state semifinals. They're your 8th seed. So if you're the 1 seed, you could be lining up against them in the quarterfinals. That quarterfinal round in Class A should be something special. Got a chance to talk to John Mahoney with Churchville Chila and Sean Hopkins, and both of them said, Sean said, it's going to make this more difficult for us to win a sectional, but really when it comes down to it, you now have the best team. Right. You have the best team that's winning a sectional and going to advance to the Far West Regional. But nonetheless, you're going to have teams like Mike Merrill's Honeoye Falls Lima squad, which recently won back-to-back A2 titles. They're going to be a double-digit seed now. And think about having to play them at some point. They're struggling. They're down a little bit. But do you want to play that level of experience? Because you know those kids are still going to be seasoned kids who can play in the sectionals. And it's going to be a great run there in Class A for boys soccer.
Let's talk a little bit some football now. Let's talk East Rochester, outstanding performance from a young man for that squad.
Jaden Castrocini, who in their recent win, the East Rochester Gananda squad, in their recent win over Newark, he total offense of over 270 yards. He is averaging almost 250 yards of total offense per game for that squad, which is 3-1. And here's the thing, he's a 3-sport athlete, and his best sport is probably basketball. So I don't know how that equates onto the basketball court for him, but I do know with baseball and basketball, he's always making it into the recaps on Pick and Splinter. So he's certainly someone you want to go out and see play.
All right, sounds great. As always, Paul, great stuff. Thanks very much for joining us. We'll be back with more of the Vision High School Sports Beat right after this. Well, coming up next, the Making the Grade nominee with Kim, and later on, a Brighton Baron overcomes his greatest opponent to make it back on the field. We'll have that story when the Vision High School Sports Beat continues. Welcome back, and thanks once again for joining us on the Vision High School Sports Beat. I'm Dave Yates. We are on location this week from Vision Hyundai in Webster. And now here's Kim Burnson with another student athlete who is making the grade.
Making the grade this week is Pell Max senior Emma Arnold. Emma is a 3-year varsity player and captain for the Red Raiders lacrosse team. She prides herself on proving the doubters wrong. She helped lead her team to a second consecutive Section 5 title last spring. The midfielder has totaled 139 goals in those 3 seasons and earned MVP honors in the Class D championship game. Aside from her outstanding stats on the lacrosse field, Emma is an all-around great student. She carries a 93 average and somehow finds time to participate in multiple clubs at school. She was voted into student council and is a member of Varsity Club, the leadership team, and Model UN. This week, Emma Arnold is making the grade.
If you have a student in mind for our Making the Grade segment, we want your nominations. Send them in to info@classywolf.com. And now here are some of the athletes, teams, and coaches making news in this week's Section 5 Spotlight, brought to you by McCardle's in Fairport. Come home to McCardle's. Hilton grad and Binghamton Bearcat Louis Dupre wrestled for Team USA in the World Junior Championships in Slovakia. Lou wrestled at 86 kilograms and won his first round match before falling out of contention. More from Hilton as the girls soccer team hosted the Breast Cancer Awareness Games and beat Webster Thomas 3-0. And more importantly, over 9 years of the games have raised over $50,000. The Sutherland boys cross-country team took first at the Leroy Invitational in the large school division. David Smith, Sam Baker, and Rylan Hodgson were all top 10 finishers for the Knights. And finally, on October 28th, Rush Henrietta is hosting a fundraising tailgate event for the Werner Kleeman Scholarship Fund. Take part to honor Coach Kleeman's memory with family, friends, and football at Martin Road Park. And now a look at the Varsity Media top football plays of the week. And we start out at number 5. Arcadia's junior Shaquem Harris takes the punt return from his own 23, and he is going to go the distance against the Spencerport Rangers. 77 yards, 21-0. Arcadia goes to 4-0. Harris had 3 touchdowns. The one you just saw, he had 1 rushing and 1 receiving. At number 4, McQuaid's Hunter Walsh connects with senior Ben Beauchamp for an 81-yard scoring strike. One of 2 touchdowns for Big Ben. McQuaid beats leadership 33-16. In at number 3, Eastridge at Penfield. The teams endured a 2-hour lightning delay, and then the Lancers with a strike of their own. How about Matthew Brantley? The bad punt is picked out of midair, and he takes it the rest of the way. Looks like everybody fell asleep on that one, except for Brantley. He had 3 touchdowns, 101 yards rushing, and Eastridge goes to 2-2 with a win over Penfield. In at number 2, it's the Wayne Eagles and the combination of quarterback Grayson Zanelovich and Logan Blankenberg. Wayne, who was trailing 23-0 in this game, came back to win it 48-31. And get this one, Zanelovich had 5 passing touchdowns on the afternoon. And topping our list at number 1, it is number 7. In fact, it is 7. Sam McGee making the catch with time expiring in the first half, leaping over defenders, going 56 yards for the score. East Beach Edison 26-0. They are now 3-0 thanks to that connection between Sam McGee and quarterback Anthony Gilbert. Up next, the Brighton football team got a big boost when one of their top players rejoined the squad after a battle with cancer. We'll have that story when the Vision High School Sports Beat returns.
And now to Eichel. He floated one.
Hey, welcome back, and thanks once again for joining us on the Vision High School Sports Beat. I'm Dave Yates. This segment of the Vision High School Sports Beat is brought to you by the Injury Free Coalition and our friends at Leo's Bakery and Deli. Please remember to always wear your seatbelt in the front and back seats and to focus only on driving when behind the wheel of a car. This message courtesy of the Injury Free Coalition for Kids Smart Teen Driving Program and our friends at Leo's Bakery and Deli. Sam Julian was looking forward to his senior season with the Baron football team when he went for his 2018 physical. That day in July forever changed Sam's life. But just months after his thyroid cancer diagnosis, Sam made it all the way back onto the field with his teammates. Here's Sam's remarkable story. You're 18 years old, getting ready for your senior year in high school, thinking about where you want to go to college, gearing up for football season, enjoying time with your teammates and friends. Then you get the news. You have cancer. Suddenly, your whole world has changed. The plans you've been focusing on are put on hold. Nothing can be taken for granted.
I was obviously devastated, and I wondered if I was ever going to play football again. And going through the whole rehab process, surgery, you know, it's great to be back.
I mean, anytime you hear something like that, you know, it takes the wind out of your sails. I wasn't expecting it at all. His mom texted me during our 1 week off during the summer. I expected it to be about college. Most of my seniors were taking college visits during that time. And when she told me what the diagnosis was, I was completely floored. My immediate reaction was just his well-being, his mom's well-being, how they were going to be. And the initial thing she told me was, doctors said this isn't something that's going to be the worst case scenario, and that at some point in the season they were telling him he'd be back to play football. He didn't know how to break the news to his teammates, so he asked me to do that for him. We brought them all together, and anytime you tell a group of kids, you know, the word cancer and their friend, their immediate reaction was probably like mine, and it's the worst case scenario. Thankfully, by that point, we had kind of gotten the word from doctors and heard a little bit more, and so I was able to assure them, hey, he's gonna have the surgery. They're telling me it's gonna be okay, and he's gonna be back. I think that helped a little bit, but obviously it was a huge shock.
I mean, everyone was just kind of shocked at first, and then reality kind of hit when we had practice, and it was just different with him not around, and you know, at points in the season we really needed him, so it was just kind of tough to deal with at first.
The doctors assured Sam that his prognosis was good, even telling him that getting back to playing football this season wasn't a matter of if, but when. But when a group of 17 and 18-year-olds are confronted with the news that one of their peers, one of their leaders, is going through something of this magnitude, they know they need to support them, and also need support themselves. For the Barons, that has always been there.
The big benefit of this team is we do stuff with each other all year round. I mean, the minute the season's over, we start lifting together. Whether it's football activities or even just informal things, we're just always around each other, my assistant coaches as well. So when things happen like this, we're there for each other, and it's not like all of a sudden you're calling everyone in and it's this out of the blue thing.
It meant a lot. I had a ton of support from every coach, every player. You know, we did the Wilmot Warrior Walk in honor of me. So, you know, they've just been with me every step of the way. You know, it's tough, but I think I've moved on now. You know, I'm not focused on having cancer. I'm focused on playing football, and you know, I think that's what everyone's trying to do, is just put it past us and focus on the good things.
The sitting and watching and waiting, that might have been even more of a challenge.
It was tough, you know, every day at practice, sitting there doing nothing, you know, watching your team practice, games, sitting on the sideline, watching your team play. You know, it's not a fun time. It's tough, and you know, it makes it even better to be back and now to play with them. After, you know, experiencing that, I'm even more grateful to play.
He was going through obviously a lot of ups and downs emotionally. You're an 18-year-old kid, why me? But he's such a strong character kid. You'd never know that he was struggling if he wasn't somebody that was talking to me about it and opening up. He just came every day, worked hard like he was any part of the team, and when he was ready to be fully cleared, he would have already been banking practices and getting his kind of mental reps in and some non-contact reps in, and once he was cleared, it was just green light, let's go.
Sam was able to take the field in week 2 against Brockport, a big step in a journey that wasn't that long in terms of days and weeks, but must have felt like an eternity for those involved.
You know, I'm already kind of crazy before I go on the field for a game, and then to have him lined up next to me to my left when we walk out for the coin toss and stuff like that, I loved it and I missed it, so I'm just excited and happy we get to keep on doing it with him.
Welcome, United Barons!
Talk about taking the field last week against Brockport, how that felt for you.
It felt great, you know. It's just so surreal to be back out there after everything that's happened. And, you know, I just had an awesome time and disappointed that we lost, but, you know, it was a tough fight. It was awesome being back out there.
One player, one phone call, one word, enough to change lives and perspectives.
Every coach around is coaching for a championship and they all want to win, but all we wanted was for Sammy to play football. all we wanted was to see him out there. It was everything that you could ask for to see him there, even just in warm-ups with the guys. It was pretty special.
Again, good afternoon, Brighton Barons family. We are again very glad.
Well, we'd like to thank our sponsors, especially 11 dealerships in the Vision Automotive Group and the group here at Vision Hyundai in Webster for hosting us. Stop in and see their selection right here at 755 Ridge Road in Webster. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you again next week with the Vision High School Sports Beat.